there's a substantial amount of content and experts that Suzanne's brought together that's going to cover a wide range from basic project management stuff to business development to working with regulatory agencies, public works stuff. So this session is kind of to set the foundation of that, and it hit a few points that I think you will see consistent through the program. So introductions, I'll do a little background on myself for a minute, and then we'll dive into a little bit of conversation about why you guys are here and how that ties to being a successful subcontractor, and then go into some key points that I've found through my career and working with general contractors and other subs that are useful for operational success and business and relationship success, and then a few possible areas of failure. So Suzanne gave me a brief introduction. I'm based out of California, grew up in the West Coast, grew up in the construction industry. When I was 13, I was working with family business all the way through college, degree in construction management at Northern Arizona University. And then I came out to California, where I spent about 10 years building roads and airports, 5 years doing utilities, natural gas, water, and other underground utilities, some overhead electrical, 3 years doing sewer inspection and repair, trenchless work that's pretty pervasive across the country, as well as utility inspection, construction management related to those. And now I'm doing a combination of project management support for local cities, as well as managing my own business, working with contractors such as yourself on growth and business strategy. So my work has covered everything from framing houses when I was a kid, to paving airport runways, to tree trimming for utilities. So pretty diverse experience where I've encountered a lot of the challenges that you will see day to day. And I've worked with dozens, if not double that, small subcontractors that are aiming to grow. And as I've worked hand in hand with them and trying to battle the large GC world where you're trying to gain work, be profitable, keep up, grow, hire, train, be safe, quality. So that's my background. So I'd like to kind of dive into a real brief. We've got like 12 or 13 folks on today. If each one of you could throw out a reason why you're here, and then we'll go through that list and see how that kind of ties to successful subcontracting. So we'll make it quick so we don't burn up too much time. Start at the top of my screen here. I see Michael Stiff.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. So what brings you to this program? What are you trying to gain?
Well, I'm a small HVAC service company over here in Texas that's transparent, relocating to Chicagoland area. My I have family and relatives there, which the main one is my mother. So I decided that I'm there all the time. There's an inherent amount of work there, and I'm trying to be competitive and take my services there and hopefully increase my revenue.
Okay. So growth in new territory. You guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. I see Juan Calahorano.
Perfect. Thank you, Zach. Good morning, Suzanne. My name is Juan Calajorano. I'm with JLC and Associates. I do consulting work, but I want to venture into the construction side. I got about 50 years of experience working for a not-for-profit trade organization in construction. So I work with a lot of contractors at all different levels, professional services, companies, and now I'm on the other side. I started my company years back, but I'm doing it part-time, but this is a full-time business that I have right now. So my goal is to learn more about the industry, learn more now from the other side, right? Learn more how to do the work, actually get involved with the work itself. So that's basically what I want to do.
Hey, Juan.
I'm excited to be here. How are you? I'm excited to be here. We'll participate.
Glad to have you.
Okay. Who's next here? We got Tony Mitchell.
Oh, yes, yes. Sorry.
No
Trying to
problem.
get trying to get my little headset together here. Tony Mitchell, from Chicago. I'm a small general contractor with an MBE certified. I have a lot of experience working on government projects in Washington, D.C. So my concern is really to just get some clear understanding of more federal and commercial and try to gain some knowledge and experience and bid on projects like O'Hara Airport or even some Department of Transportation. So I
Okay.
want to try to get more experience in that area and get a clear understanding of bonding, insurance, and all that good stuff that
Okay.
needs to come with, you know, bidding on these jobs and getting a clear
Yeah.
understanding.
Okay. How about Vicky?
Hi, sorry about that. Vicky Diaz with Montel Technologies. We specialize in anything to do with physical security. I'm interested in just professional growth and professional experience, just overall the new learning information, and just want to soak everything in and just learn as much as I possibly can.
Okay. Roderick Thompson.
Hi, I'm from Chicago. I'm a small residential modeler. No real commercial experience, so I'm looking to gain knowledge, exposure, see where this can take me because I do have greater aspirations. I just don't have much exposure. I haven't had much exposure, and I just would like to see where I can go with this.
Cool. Harold.
Yeah, good morning. I'm similar to Roderick. I'm a small residential remodeler located here in Chicago. And I joined the program because I'm trying to get a better knowledge of the inner workings of the commercial industry and also just trying to figure out my niche within that industry and then how to bid and network for jobs. And I'm also DBE and MBE certified.
Edward.
Hello, everybody. I'm Edward McMillan. I'm with Skyline Ornamental. We do ironwork. I work with fabricators. We install. We do everything from balconies, staircases, railings, fencing, but we mostly subcontract. The reason why I applied for this is just to learn, basically, gain more knowledge. I've been in the industry for a while as an employee. Now I'm trying to go out for the ownership side. I want to learn and advance my knowledge mostly.
That's the kind of guy we want in this program. Everything that you all have said is why we are doing what we do. Because Zach, I don't want to butt in, but I can't help but comment on what I've heard so far. The opportunities for contractors, right, in this space, in this time, is enormous. And in order to really be competitive, you have got to acquire the knowledge and the know-how in order to go up against those other firms who are competing on the commercial side. Now we're talking subcontractors, which is where many GCs are looking. They're looking to identify subcontractors to work with them on these mammoth projects that they're getting, $100 million, $200 million, $300 million projects out here. And so by what you are saying, you're at the right place. I just want to just reconfirm and reaffirm to you that if you really participate in these sessions, you will come out a lot better, much, much better than you were before you started.
Well, well said, Suzanne. It looks like my participant list changed here. Did I catch you, or was I
No,
starting with you?
I didn't get a chance to speak. My
Go
name
for
is
it.
Ty Carson, with the UR Group, and what we do infrastructure development, and just trying to gain more information in terms of managing uh, the construction business. We're trying to grow. We really trying to grow. We're trying to, grow to maybe around 100 million plus. What we're trying to do.
Great. I got Mo.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Mo Labor. I'm the founder of R&R Chicago Design Build. I'm a general contractor right now. We specialize in interior renovations of residential mostly and some light commercial work. We also do a lot of project management, snow removal, but primarily I'm here to expand my commercial knowledge as well as utilize my DBE, which I'm in the process of getting right now. And I hope to be able to get into development eventually and use that to drive economic change in low income neighborhoods. So thanks for having me.
Great. So we got Kathy. I don't believe you had a chance yet.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Kathy with K Jones Plumbing. Just a plumbing contractor, myself and my husband. In the process of the MBE, WBE here in Chicago. And we're operating on a smaller scale, and we really look forward to growing and going after more commercial projects and really getting in those big boards and scaling up.
Great. Who else? We got Maddie.
Hi, everyone.
Good
I
morning.
do apologize for chiming in late. I normally have my clock set on time. Excuse me. But I am a modular and container prefab company. We're
Okay.
just now getting started in the city of Chicago. Like Harold, I'd like to connect with him later if that's possible. But we are trying to get a facility here. There's already 2 companies here that's doing prefab, but we would like to bring our stronger designs to City of Chicago for these vacant lots and residential homes where our structure are stronger. Our designs are so much better, and it don't take away from the historical look of Chicago, as well as, going across nationwide to be able to develop. But we are trying to tap in because it's such a locked in industry where if you don't know nobody, you're nobody. So we're trying to get the jump start. We're so far just, posting our designs. I posted our designs on LinkedIn and got over 6,500 views in 5 days. So like I say, I'm just trying to get a jump start. And I think this program will give me the networking to meet the people that are here today. You all have awesome backgrounds, and I'm always open to bringing in new ideas and new people who like to partner to get, let's all get started together.
Awesome. Did I miss anybody? I thought we had 13 in here, including myself and Suzanne, and I see we got 11. Maybe we caught everybody. So great. But I think having that background is really beneficial for both us putting this together for you folks, so we can understand where everybody's coming from and where you want to go. But you'll also notice probably half of the folks here mentioned networking, and there's already been, Maddie is already interested in connecting with at least one other person here to just talk about that work. So that's a huge advantage for this, as well as opportunities that are presented through some of the conferences and all that, is to network with each other, which can be just as important as networking with the GC, because you will find opportunities to work together. You may find a project that you can't handle the work, but because it's not your specialty, but here you got 10 or 12 other folks, and one of them might. So I think that's a great aspect to this that really helps develop your business. So we'll go kind of back through this real quick, and a few of these are pretty similar, but so how do these reasons for being here tie into your successful subcontracting? So we've got a lot of growth, right? Growth in new territory after relocating, growing into commercial work, understanding how to find government opportunities and participate in them. So how does that make you a successful sub? Well, you'll see, we'll get into it. That's part of your business planning, right? So you know that you need a plan to target your business. Being here can be part of your plan. It helps present new opportunities, new structure, and really target that growth aspect. So we got contributes to business growth planning. A lot of folks, everybody here should be either in the process of getting an MBE or small business certification or have one. So there's leverage, and a few folks talked about that. So there's leveraging. Suzanne, what do we call those in general? Just diverse business certifications?
Yes.
Yeah. So those open opportunities, that's the intent of those programs, right? Is to help folks get their foot in the door where they may not have a route otherwise without it. We've got knowledge and growth on the ownership side, right? So going from the employee to the owner has a huge benefit to a lot of these GCs because you know how to do the work, right? But the struggle is, how do you run the business? But it brings knowledge to the GC that you can leverage as opposed to showing up and saying, I just, bought a small boom truck and I'm going to start hanging steel, but I've never done it in my life, versus a guy who's got 20 or 30 years of experience and knows he's ready to take that leap to own the business. He's bringing a lot of knowledge. It's really going to help that GC out. What else we got for big categories here? Talked about growth, gaining knowledge, right? So this is desire to improve and willingness to learn and invest. That's a key thing we'll talk about here. Networking is just adding opportunities. So the entire my exercise here is just kind of get us thinking about what's really going to benefit this group as we continue with these seminars. So same thing, and I think that only took about 10 minutes, so it should work for time here. Go back through the list real quick, and what do you think makes you successful as a subcontractor? And if you have an idea of what a GC views as success, we'll get that noted down here real quick. So Michael, what's success for you as a sub?
Well, I think success for me as a sub would to be able to obtain some contractual work in that area up there in Chicago. It's a different work. It's a different area here in Texas versus being in Illinois. I think acquiring a DBE in the state of Illinois was a good thing for me. So I think my experience here with the opportunity there would be, I think I can display my knowledge with just get there. That's my biggest thing. But I think success to me is being able to take opportunity and get an opportunity, have the qualifications to get an opportunity. But when you get the opportunity, they deliver. DC's looking for.
So success for the GC is delivering on that first job.
Correct.
Yeah. Tony.
My successful, I think being successful, it helps me at this stage is deadlines and staying within the budget. I'm a real stickler about meeting the deadline and at the same time, not too many change orders. I don't really care for that. Try to avoid that and meet the deadline. That's really my biggest concern. And that's what makes Mitchell Design and Construction more successful is meeting the deadline and staying within that budget.
So what's that? How does that translate into why a GC is going to pick you or stay with you?
Hardworking, try to meet the demands of what the general wants, and just try to stay focused and learn, and be open and willing to learn.
Great, and
it's not easy. It's not easy, yeah. But it's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of long nights and studying plans, things of that nature, and reading the specs.
Yeah, and going back to your goal of minimizing change orders, that helps the GC by no changes means they know what the cost is, right?
Oh yeah, and less frustrations. Try to keep, try to work with what the general wants, and everybody's safe and no injuries and things of that nature. It's so much that goes on, and
for sure.
Try to make sure no one gets hurt and be safe and try to make it fun. I think in the past few years I've worked on some interesting projects like Charles Schwab out in Colorado and Denver, even the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. We renovated that, and it was a lot of work. It was like 11-hour days, but it builds a lot of character, and and I think it should be fun when you're doing construction. It shouldn't be a stressful moment, and when it becomes stressful, it's not fun.
Yeah, cool. Mo, what do you got? What do you consider success for you as a sub, and what do you think a GC would consider success to them as having you for a sub?
For me as a subcontractor, I define success as setting realistic expectations, having good communication with both my team, with my own subcontractors, and and the GC, and being reliable, doing what we say we're going to do. And then, why would a GC pick me? I would say that at this stage, I've mostly been acting, I am a GC, but if we were to work for like a prime contract, a prime GC, a larger project, I would say that I'm very detail oriented, I'm thorough, and I ask a lot of questions to understand the job thoroughly, and then deliver on what I say I'm going to do.
Yep. Good stuff. Vicky?
Okay, the way I would define success for a subcontractor, I would totally agree with the previous person. The communication and being reliable is probably one of the top two items on the list. And just being on time with items, having good communication, like, hey, we're backed up on this, so they can get ahead in other items, so that we don't mess up their schedule, so that we don't cause any more delays or any of that such, is just huge for them, as in the way that benefits the GC is now they can deliver a successful project in a timely manner without them having any fees for passing the deadline, and it helps them stay within budget, and obviously they don't lose money in that aspect.
Yep. Harold, what do you got?
Yeah, my idea of success is similar to the previous people. First and foremost, having a reputation in the industry as a company that operates with integrity and efficiency. Also, success as a subcontractor for a GC would be, in terms of my company, would be to have a system that allows me to go after the right job that would ensure that I can hit my profit margins.
That's a great one. How does that top idea right there, how does that translate to success for the guy hiring you?
It's success for a guy hiring me because if we have a system that allows us to bid on the correct job, I think it relieves a lot of stress in terms of the financial aspect of the job, in terms of just the overall, like I think one person said, the expectations of the job. So everyone's on the same page, everyone's moving in the same direction from the beginning.
I like that. Juan, what do you think?
Yeah, okay. For me, it'll be first of all, get hired, complete the work on time within budget, make a profit for myself, and get hired again. That'll be kind of my. I'm sorry, that'll be my my success. As far as for the GC, obviously be something positive within the team. Make sure I don't create any problems or anything like that. And be able to count it again for the next project, right? Have somebody on the list that they can count on and provide a good quote and provide good assistance when delivering the work on the next project. So that's what I think will be success for both.
Cool. Roderick, I don't think I got you yet.
Planning, preparation, efficiency, being on time, delivering a quality product. I think it would benefit me as well as the contract because time is money, and all the time and money spent wasted doesn't help either of us. So.
Who also? Edward, did I get you on this one?
No. For me, for sub, I would say just providing excellent service, being reliable, having a good reputation. And for GC, for the most part, having knowledge of the scope of what you're doing, the scope of the job that they want you to do. If you have knowledge of what you're doing, you tend to provide a better service and being consistent in that.
Yep. Kathy.
For me, for the sub part, I definitely agree with what was previously said. Definitely, because we're in Chicago, though, it's a windy city, so becoming union and being able to even go after some of these larger scale projects definitely would contribute to the success of our plumbing company, but also engaging, I would say, the younger generation to grow our workforce. It can't end with us, so we definitely have to There's definitely I guess, a apprenticeship component that I want to add to our company. For a GC, partnership, real partnership and communication, deadlines, budget, project completion, and a level of expertise I think they would appreciate from our company. My husband has experience as an inspector as well, so we tend to get things done right the first time instead of having to go back and change some things and make sure they're up to code and whatnot. So, yeah.
So I know I didn't get everybody here. Vicky, did I get you? I think I did. Ty?
No, you didn't get me yet.
Right.
For me, there's a few things that stands out. Safety is very important. Delivery, being very detailed, and reliability.
What do you think Sub is looking for that's going to bring them success? Sorry, a GC is looking for that's going to bring them success.
Well, I think safety is huge for any GC. You don't have safety, you're going to have issues with the job. Being reliable. They want to have reliable crews working for them. Being able to deliver, being able to deliver the product or the service that you signed up for is very important. So those are things that stands out for me.
Cool. And who else do we got? Just Maddie? Is that the last one there?
Yes, hi. Well, hearing everyone, I believe everyone is really on point with everything. So it's very hard to deliver what I'm going to say, but I'm just going to say it like this. Well, first of all, when doing any project, we have to understand the stakeholder itself, knowing who is the stakeholder, the background of the stakeholder, understanding from a Robin's perspective. When you say Batman or Robin, if I'm a subcontractor, I am a sub of someone that is the actual contractor. So I'm their backup. I must deliver. I must be able to be on time. I must understand the project, be able to be the second mind, second eyes for that contractor. So it's like almost like a compliance manager. You have to almost take a compliance manager stand when you filtering out what is supposed to be done. So if I'm looking at the blueprint, I'm looking at the scope of work, and there's add ins or something that's not supposed to be there, and the contractor didn't catch it, hey, I'm the one to filter that out. Hey, bring it to attention, understand the budget, know what the time frame I'm supposed to be on, and knowing, what am I, and delivering on time. And with proficiency. So if I do all this, I understand, I know it's almost a guaranteed a callback. Just knowing I can be reliable on all those ends.
That's good. Kind of covered both sides there, both for the sub and for the GC. I think I got everybody. Speak up if I missed you. Cool. Suzanne, you have anything to add in from what you've heard so far?
No, I do not.
Great. Cool. So I really wanted to get through that. It does seem like we're just maybe repeating a few of the same things, but there's that kind of highlights what comes up most often from a GC standpoint on what they want from a sub. Right? What they always want, the best. Right? They want the best value. They want the best price. They want the best safety, the best quality, the best experts. And there's kind of reality out there that nobody's the best on every project. You can be an expert plumber on every project you show up on, but that doesn't mean that you're the best for that project. So their targets and their goals are in some views unobtainable. So I really look at this as, how do you be at the top of their Rolodex or their contact list as a reliable phone call or a reliable bid invite. And Maddie, I think your Batman and Robin comparison was pretty spot on, right? You want to become that supplier and contractor and vendor that's truly the partner that is not showing up just to build something and cut a check or get a check cut and walk away, but to help that GC themselves become more successful. And to do that, I've kind of stolen a little bit a way that I've developed to help myself look at this is stealing from the quality control world. Some of you may have seen or heard this. It's usually is delivered in the aspect of quality control and quality management. And I'm translating it because it makes sense to me to operational success. How do you manage your business and be effective and be efficient in it? And it's plan, do, check, and act, and then you repeat. So this is about, you can look at where you're at right now today and what are your next steps to grow, to get the next job, to target a new market. How do you, once you have that plan, what about executing on it? How do you actually bring that money in? Checking is saying, okay, I had a plan, I did something. How did it turn out? Is it per plan? Was it disaster? Was it great? I didn't even think about that part. And then the act is taking action on what you've learned right there. And then it's a rinse and repeat. And we do this every day in our lives without even thinking about it. But if you don't actively take an approach like this, and you can call it a variety of different things, but the approach is all similar. You have to have a way forward in your head that's going to take you down this path that you guys have all talked about right here. And jump in with questions or thoughts here, guys, because this is where I can get to just me speaking, and I would really love to have a little bit more of participation right there, and questions in particular. So when I talk about planning, it's not just I want to grow in Chicago, right? So there's an overall target. We've got moving from Texas to Chicago. We got new markets, we have new unions, we have new clients, we have new banks, we've got new building codes, we've got new agencies to work with, new licensing. So you really got to sit down and go through all those details. You have to make sure that you have a plan for all the areas that are going to affect your business. And a big one that is kind of a starting point is, what are you capable of doing? Where do you want to grow? And what do you want to focus on with your skill set and capabilities and your expertise? And taking that and developing a plan to go find the market, to find the GCs and the projects that are going to need your skill set and capabilities that your company is offering. Your financial planning, the hardest one of all, right? How do you pay your crew if you're waiting on a GC to pay you and they're 30 days late? How are you going to invest in how are you going to go get a new boom truck for your next, medium-sized commercial project? How are you going to add crews and get them a tool truck when all of a sudden you get 3 giant jobs that you didn't expect all at once? So your financial planning needs to be both, the day-to-day, so you can cut payroll checks every day and cover your bills and put money in the bank and add to your reinvestment in your business. But you have to have some backup plans especially when you are pushing for big growth, because when you are fortunate and you get those 3 jobs that you didn't think you'd get all at once, you have to be able to stand up and show up and do the work. And you can't do that if you don't have the ability, whether it's lines of credit, a relationship with a GC that will pay for materials in advance, or high mobilization stuff. There's all these little areas that if you don't plan for, you're going to stumble right when you hit before you can even hit the ground running, when you're in this push for growth. Staffing, It's, get the right people on board. How are you going to hire? Where are you going to source your folks? We brought up on developing the next generation. You want to put yourself in a position that the GCCs, they know that when they need you, you're going to show up with the crews. You've got the flexibility to shuffle between jobs. You can respond to the emergencies, and that you also are helping them meet their goals, whether it's corporate or government goals or regulatory goals, to meet diversity requirements, local hire requirements, union requirements. So you got to go through all those little areas for staffing and say, what's my approach to this? And sometimes your approach may be, I'm going to avoid that type of work until I'm ready to do it. But the fact is, by recognizing that, you're making the plan that's going to help you demonstrate your success to these GCs. Business development and growth is another area kind of similar to capabilities and markets. This is your sales plan. Are you going to just be a word of mouth for your growth plan? Are you going to go to blueprint workshops, plan clearinghouses that publish all the jobs to help you find ones to bid? Are you going to participate in networking groups like this? Have some focus on how you're going to try and find these next jobs to then continue to grow and start that cycle over. And how now you've got a couple of bigger jobs. How do you find even bigger stuff off of that? How do you transfer to a new region? It's really getting down to the details of what do I want to do tomorrow? What do I want to do in 6 months? What do I want to do the next 5 years? And then establishing that baseline for yourself.
I have a question.
Yep.
I'm going to start to interrupt.
Go for it.
I think somebody had mentioned this earlier too, but how do you get that first job before you have the experience to do it? Like your first big job.
That's a challenge, right? How do you, it's a risk to go and bid a job that you may feel you're not ready to do, or that you are ready, but you don't have the crew to do it. Has anybody here been in that situation, say maybe in the last year or so, that could chime in on a real life experience they've had? Everybody got their start somewhere of taking that leap of faith. Who's got a good? Nobody?
I think to me it's always important to understand your capacity, right? Where you fit in a way, right? I always ask that question, even if I meet somebody else, what's your capacity, what's your capabilities, to understand, the type of work that they do to begin with, understand what size projects they are capable of doing, right? I think it's important to understand that it's, once again, see where you fit in. Me, it's a little bit different. I started with on my consulting side, but I said eventually I want to move into development. But yeah, it is a challenge. You got to for me, relying on my experience, the organization that I was with, I had a lot of exposure to contractors. By now, they see you in a different way. Right now, you're working on your own. Do you have the experience, the capacity to do what you say you do? And yeah, I've just got to knock on some doors and talk to people and put your product out there.
That's good stuff right there. Going back to the question are you asking in relationship to finding the opportunity or actually winning the project, or both?
I would say probably, a combination of both. I think in terms of assessing risk of what my capabilities are, I think that I feel I've gotten pretty good over the years of being able to do that. But I think, like, let's say in the commercial space, for example, being able to get that first big commercial job, right? Like with a new construction or something. I think that would be a good example, where right now most of the work we're doing is remodeling or build outs. And I've been having trouble getting into the new construction space, even though I have the contacts with the experience to do it. I have never done it myself, but I know where to go to get the people that can help me execute.
So you've got some leads on work to pursue and bid, but you're not having any luck on actually getting traction on starting that process?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
whenever I bid on new construction, I've reflected on a lot of the bids that I've sent in. I've talked to a lot of people, and we've been within the competitive range, but there's been something that I haven't been able to find that's been deterring us from actually winning the bids.
So I've seen a few different scenarios, and nobody knows all the scenarios, right? But one that is fairly common is GCs. They like a comfort level, right?
Yeah.
And they, for them to take, they see it as taking a risk on bringing, even if they know you, if you've done 12 remodels and you keep telling them, hey, I know you got this new project ground up, I know I can do it. I've showed you, I've done your foundation, I've done your utilities on these additions, I've done all the framing, I've done the interior build outs. The only difference in this next project is it's larger. Ask them what is their concern about bringing you on to do that project, and see if you can. And this requires a good. This is in a scenario where you have a pretty good relationship and communication relationship with them, to hopefully have them give you the feedback of, well, they might say, I don't think you have the bonding capacity, and maybe they never asked. Right, so you do have the capacity, but they didn't know that. So, okay, so there's one comfort level they have. They're going to say, well, how do I know that you've got the crews to show up? Well, this goes back to the planning. You can say, this is my workload for the next 4 months, and I've planned it assuming I'm going to have these 1 or 2 big jobs right here that you have coming up, to make sure that I can respond. Or I've developed a relationship with my local union business agent who's aware of this project coming, and they've committed to stepping up and helping me source additional labor for crews. Yeah, having the GC wants to hear that you have considered this stuff, and it is that you're aware of the challenges, you are aware that you may stumble and fall a little bit, but that you're committed to picking yourself up off the ground when you do fall, keep going, catch up. So that's part of it, is really giving them that comfort level to take the step of saying, all right, we're going to give you a chance on this one. If it's a new GC that you haven't worked with, or a lot of what I'm talking about right here is private funded, right? Not necessarily low bid work, because low bid work is it's a different world. It's if you're cheapest and you meet the requirements, you got your foot in the door, you're going to get that job. But when you're talking negotiated work, privately funded, that's not just price, but relationship and mutual end goals. If you're aiming for new contractors, you have to come to them and demonstrate, not hiding what your past is, but you want to show that you have success in the areas for this larger work. Show where you know you're successful, where you have been. So it's not, I did a 20 by 20 new foundation for an addition. It's saying, I have built slab on grade for commercial construction, right? So part of it is how you present that stuff, to highlight your abilities as you know it, not just your past experience, but that past experience translates into a broader capability. So there's some presentation to that as well. Anybody else have other areas that they kind of have, or tricks they've used to get their foot in the door?
I think, I mean, for a larger project, you just gotta find sort of your point of entry, right? I mean, now you're not maybe doing multiple things, you're just maybe doing a bigger size project, and maybe the same amount of people that it take you to do maybe 3/4 of the other project maybe requires to do just one portion of this particular project. So I would say maybe find something that you're got good experience in, you can show your experience in, could be drywall, could be painting, those type of things that can get you in the door, and maybe later on expand it to other areas.
Yeah, that's a good thought as well. And another key thing, especially on the ones you don't get, is to ask why. Oh, if you have a decent relationship with somebody, they're going to be willing to say, I just don't have faith. I didn't have faith that you would be there for this project because it's 2 hours from your home base. Understand why they haven't taken that leap of faith with you to get that next big job or that first big job. So you can, that's when we go through the plan, do, check, act. That's the check, right? Okay. I planned on pursuing this work. I bid the job. I didn't get it. What happened? And adjust based on that. See if it's a cost thing, then say, okay, where was I too expensive? Maybe you overbid an area and it's an area that you priced high because you're not entirely comfortable with. And you can reevaluate the way if you've only done, 5 new window installations and this building has 30, maybe you priced your windows way high because you've only done the 5, and you need to be willing to bring your price down a little bit, knowing you're exposing yourself to risk, but it's going to get you that foot in the door to grow, and you're going to learn how to do 30 windows at once. And you're going to compare it to your bid number and say, great, that went well, I made 20%, or man, that wasn't the great project, but I understand that now and I can be competitive in my pricing, but not overpriced.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the advice.
Yeah. So planning.
I had something to say. I raised my hand. I just don't want to speak out. So I thought I use the tab, raise hand.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for it. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm just gonna say by experience. I started last year working on a project from June of last year to June of this year. We were supposed to do 2,000 homes, 1,000 on the west side and 1,000 on the south side. The guy ordered 4 different drawings. Now, the drawings were very expensive to order. Some was coming from overseas with our partnership overseas, and some were here in Illinois. We got the team, the attorney, everything for documents, all of that. He put us in, he said, this is our first time. So he said, hey, let's see your drawing. Okay, I like your drawings. Put them in permitting. We went through permitting with people down at City Hall, all of that. They was like, hey, we're going to work with you because we work with, the other modular company, tell them exactly what they need to do, and you guys can meet that, requirements. We'll pass you along, right? Because it's requirements met. We did everything. And soon as it came time, we even got the lot information as far as the PIN number, when it gets started. We had 100 lots delivered to us, to be assigned to us. We went out there, did the whole zoning information as far as what zoning, if it's in the R zone, M zone, whatever, how high we can build these modulars, right? As soon as it came time to sign, hear me, we worked on this project a whole year, spent money. As soon as it came to sign, we need the owner's information to go fully into permitting. He pulled back. And that was the most devastating thing ever. So it's like, now it's like, he kept saying, okay, we got a new administrative. That's why we couldn't go forward. Okay, the new administrative. He's assigning someone, could call us back in July. July came, call us back in August. August came. I just took this. That's what I said when I took those drawings and posted them to LinkedIn. They got over 6,500 views in 5 days. I had not picked up not one client the whole year because we were so full. We had gathered such a large team from Texas, Ohio, overseas, and everything to fulfill 2,000 lots that I couldn't focus on anyone else. So when he asked that question, how do you jumpstart? My thing is to you is be careful, because in Chicago, again, it could be a little tricky for those who are new. You giving it your all in the beginning, and it can get snatched right under you if there's no contract, and you don't put in a year or 2, and everybody says, oh, it's only a year, but that was a year invested with money. That was a year invested with, time, gathering people. I pulled a full team, staff together that could deliver 25 homes per month, and we're not throwing up junk. I mean, different companies coming in as assembly line doing this stuff. That's how good we were going to be, and how we were going to deliver. And to have that pull was like I say, very devastating. It puts me into an anxiety now when it comes to talking. I just most recently had a conversation with another team, and it felt like we were on a date every time because, when I go, he would meet with me as a woman. It's kind of scary too, but meet with me. Oh, we got this. Okay, meet again. We got this. Oh, meet again. We got this. Oh, we could do this. We could do this. And then the final meet, when I said, hey, let's just do virtual. I don't want to meet you no more. It was, okay, we decided to go with someone else because we don't think you guys we can't take the risk of starting with a new team. And he like, I met with you 4 different times.
Yeah.
And you didn't say that at hello. So yeah. My thing
Yeah.
is just be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a sadly a common story, right? Is it's you see an opportunity, you know that you have to throw everything you can at it if you want it and it's the right one, but that distracts you from other opportunity, right? So that's part of the when you're planning your business development and your marketing, it's okay, I want to go after this, but you need to have the plan of, okay, what if I don't get that one? Then what? Well, it's and you also I don't know if there's not a happy way to put it, but a lot of subcontractors, small and growing subcontractors, their business lives paycheck to paycheck, and it's because it's hard to develop the bandwidth to find that backlog and build that backlog because you're so focused on the execution. Right. So that's what I see and what I've really tried to focus with when I'm working one-on-one with business growth plans for smaller contractors is, okay, you know how to get the work, you know how to execute the work, but how do you allocate the resources to get 6 months of work and then the next year's worth of work? And if you have that plan in place and can kind of fine tune it so it everything is going to ebb and flow and fluctuate, but if you have proven yourself that you reliably can keep work ahead of you, it helps you pick and choose those projects that are going to be a little bit more appropriate. I went back to somebody mentioned proficiency, right? And being the expert, having a system to pursue the right job and be profitable. That's what we're talking about right here. It's you can't just say, well, that job looks good, I'm going to go do it. And I've got one key guy on my crew has done a bunch of concrete work, pouring sidewalks at his house. So I know how to finish concrete. And you're opening yourself up to risk right there because you haven't really put the thought into, okay, he's 10 square feet of sidewalk. What happens when it's 1,000 square feet? Who's going to lead that crew? Who's going to, when it rains and I'm in the middle of a concrete pour, who's going to make the decision and deal with managing that problem?
Is there a way to vet people like that? Because I think Maddie makes a really good point. There are people who, especially when you are starting off, and you feel like you have the capability. I was in a similar situation, and by similar I mean not even close to the magnitude of what Maddie went through, but on like a smaller level with a restaurant that we were going to do. And it's a waste of time, it's a waste of resources. And, these people give you their word, and where a lot of us come from, like your word it's your reputation. So
yeah,
would there be a way that, or any advice you'd have as far as vetting people so we don't get into situations like this in the future, or at least minimize it?
Was that with a GC or with an owner?
That was directly with an owner.
That I think can be a hard one. With the GC, you can actually try and find other people who worked for them and say, how did it go? Right? Do they pay on time? Do they manage their work well? With an owner, if it's new to you, you may not even know where to start to try and find that information. But was it a restaurant that was in business and doing remodel, or was it a new
So it was a franchise, and the guy had us bid out the project. He awarded it to us verbal, I mean, through written text, and then had us rewrite it to fit, like send a letter of intent, fill in like the spreadsheet that they had. And then after I did everything, I didn't hear from him for like a month, only to find out that, oh, and he also asked for my license and my electrician's license and my other contractor's licenses, gave me his plumber's letter of intent and his plumber's license, and then just kind of stopped responding. And then I found out later that they had already awarded the job to somebody else weeks before they gave it to me.
That's
Wow.
that exact scenario is kind of tricky.
Can I comment?
Mhm.
This is Tony. I had a situation where I bidded on a Section 3 HUD project. They had awarded the job to us. I was doing a teaming project with Spantech here in Chicago, engineering group. And we bidded on like 125 porches. They awarded us the contract. They was going to give us a start date. And then all of a sudden, when the spring came around, they took it away. And you talk about frustrated, and it just the kind of situation I just don't understand why, you know. I don't know if it was lack of funds or somebody in the hierarchy just didn't want us. 6 months ago, they liked us. They thought we were the team to do the work. And 6 months later, we wasn't the team. And
Yeah.
and what was really frustrating about it, I had to keep calling them to find out, so, it's sometimes it's like a roll of the dice, it's a timing thing. If either want you or they don't, I mean, sometimes it's not always experience, not even lack of experience. Do they like you? Do they feel confident enough to give you that shot? So you just have to keep going, keep bidding, and keep your head up.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of two different worlds, right? The HUD's got some public funding, I assume. So there's a little bit different contract laws related to it. So going back to the restaurant, the franchise real quick. In that exact scenario, short of asking, when you start the process, asking, do you have anybody else bidding this work? How are you gonna choose who to award it to? Questions like that on the private owner side, they're going to give you an answer. All you can do is take them at their word, right? But it's a step you can take to try and vet them. Yeah, because you can also get that gut feeling if they give you kind of a vague answer, like, we might get 4 or 5 bids, or I don't know. If they say, I just want some budget numbers, that can be a bit of a red flag, because those budget numbers are going to translate into a bid price for somebody, right? Whether it's a competitor or you, if they, and it's, Maddie said dating, right? It's kind of dating with that owner. How do you figure out if you can trust them or not? And so that you only have so much time to do your own vetting of clients. And Tony, on the HUD one, without knowing all the details, I would guess that was probably a funding issue. A lot. And part of the reason I don't call you, and part of my one of my clients is a city agency, so I see that side of it, of putting these jobs out to bid and awarding them and stuff. And the trains running, and then all of a sudden, I had $2 million for this budget, but we have to go re-roof this thing because it's leaking all winter long. And so now you no longer have 2 million. So there's a person who's sitting there saying, well, I got to tell these guys they didn't get the work, and they don't want to call you to tell you that. But so if it's a scenario where
it becomes frustrating.
And
it becomes very frustrating.
Yep, go for it.
I would start off by saying, I don't think there's a perfect answer. to vetting a client. There's always going to be some that slip through the cracks that absolutely waste our time. Um, I had a person I know, and he's a very new GC, and he's operating in the commercial space. And he gave me a couple examples. The first one was he was bidding a few HUD projects, and every time he submitted his bid, it would get essentially they would like take out line items and they would just get it to the lowest possible cost, and he still was not winning those bids. He had a buddy who was in Chicago, and he's a pretty big, like big commercial general contractor. His buddy told him to resubmit the bid. He resubmit the bid about 5,000 over what he normally would bid it. And his buddy called him and said no. His buddy told him to bid it literally 5 times as much as he originally bid. He bid it 5 times as much, and because he bid it with this big general contractor, they accepted the offer. In another
So that,
scenario,
let me pause real quick. So he was bidding direct, and then he bid it through a larger GC as a sub. Is that
to a
understanding?
larger GC,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And they accepted an offer that was 5 times what he was bidding himself. And then he also said he was bidding commercial projects, and like you, Mo, I believe you said it, like they were using him just to have a bid, but they already had their GC picked out. So again, he bidded through his buddy, and the bid was accepted. Well, because his buddy was the one who had the job as the big GC. So his buddy tells him exactly what to bid on the job, and you may get 4 more bids thinking you have a chance, and you don't. So that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
I've had situations from like additions and things of that nature where I've spent weeks just putting together the numbers. And recently I had a project come across my desk for that. And I explained to the owner that in order to get you an accurate bid, I have to get it out to my subcontractors and all the things. And so long story short, I put together, and I learned this from another larger construction company. I just put together kind of a guaranteed maximum price, saying it would not go over this price. But it takes me probably 30 minutes to assess the plans and just come up with a guaranteed maximum price. And if they think that price is too high, then we end it right there. If they are comfortable with that range, then we can continue the process. But like I said, it's not perfect, but it saves me a lot of time. With that one client that I put the guaranteed maximum price, our communication was strictly via text. And just based on our communication, I knew that was not going to be a good job because there was a lot of confusion before I even submitted the bid in terms of just miscommunication and back and forth. I submitted the bid, and I kind of told the person who was kind of liaison, I said, even if she accepts this bid, I'm not going to take the job because I'm starting to understand client types. So I didn't put a ton of time in it, but I just put like a guaranteed maximum bid and just kind of move from there.
Yeah. So it sounds like, you've spent some time reviewing what's happened in the past and developing a way to adjust and try and respond to it. And you're continuing to do that. And doing that in all areas of your business is going to really help drive your success. Having the time and the ability to do it as small business owners, and sometimes the person in the field and the office and hiring and bidding and all that stuff, you find you can't do it all. That's also part of this process, right? Okay, recognize that you can't do it all, so focus on the stuff that's going to get you the work to bring in some more money, to be able to hire some more folks and have those extra resources, or to find the part-time resources that are affordable. All of that keeps coming back to spending some time to pencil it out, what your desires are, how you think you're going to get there, and then when you are executing on it, right, seeing how you do in that execution to adjust. And Harold, on that, your story there about going through a big GC and being more expensive and still getting the job, tying that to the question of, okay, how do you get that first bigger opportunity, get your foot in the door? If you look for the projects, so if you're looking at, you want to go from residential and small commercial remodels to commercial new construction, find an area that you've been really successful at, a part of the work you've been really successful at. Some metal stud framing, right? Say that you have a crew that just kicks butt at that. Go find a project that a GC is looking for somebody just to do that work on a bigger scale than you've ever done. But it's an area that you've been successful. You can demonstrate your quality work. You can demonstrate your production. You know your costs are good. So you get in there, and instead of trying to bid the whole project for them, just say, you got 100,000 square foot new office building. I want to do just a framing for you. I'm going to show you that I can kick butt. I'm going to show you that my crew that has the best foreman in the world, and she's there every day. And I'm going to show you that I don't have changes. My pricing is good. And you get that job and you're successful. And then you can say, all right, I proved myself to you. Now give me both the metal stud framing and the door package, right? And you build your relationship with that GC and your growth in steps. But each it may not feel like you're immediately getting where you want, of saying, okay, I got the whole building. But if you are choosing profitable work that you're good at, and you're bringing money in that you can reinvest in your company, and now go hire that concrete foreman that's going to get you where you need to be on that area, right? You leverage the good to kind of bootstrap up the weak, right? So find those specialties, and if you want to specialize in that forever, just do that, and that's your business plan, then cool. But if you want to use that, take that expertise and use it to grow your other areas of business. I've seen that work very well with specialty. I worked at the mechanical contractor. They did just power plant rebuilds on large dams with turbines. They do huge projects, but they're also like, well, while I'm here, I can go rebuild that hallway for you to meet security requirements. And if you bug the person enough, they're going to let you do it eventually. Then you can say, hey, I did this hallway. I see that you're doing a new small building over there. I can take care of that. So there's also the small step process to get to the bigger stuff. And it's a different approach than just bidding the remodel, but it's paying attention to what they need and really kind of casting that hook out, reeling it in, and just keep doing that. And eventually you're going to get a bite. Juan, you had something?
No. I mean, I was just thinking about it. I mean, to me, I think there's a difference too between and I don't know that was the case with the pricing went up and they got the job, but maybe bidding residential versus bidding commercial. I'm pretty sure there's a difference in pricing as well. But at the same token, if you bid too low, sometimes maybe because everybody's going to have a budget, right? An idea what it's going to cost. But if you're bidding way below there, they might not think you're actually looking at the project accordingly or pricing it accordingly. And maybe later on, when that individual submitted the price 5 times higher, it was according to what they wanted the price to be at. So that's maybe how they got the job. I don't know.
Also, I know, and I've not bid commercial jobs, like not a lot since I've started the company. But there's also a few commercial bid boards out there. And I know you probably have to kind of vet them, but I forget the sites. I can share them later if you guys are not familiar with them. But there are a few boards where there's a lot of solicitation for subcontractors in the commercial space in Chicago. And then if you all are not familiar with it, there's a website called Chicago Cityscape. And it shows all permitted projects in the city of Chicago, residential, commercial, and it gives you that GC on record. And maybe a good thing would be to, send out solicitations to that GC, even if they have a team, say, hey, I specialize in this section. If something goes wrong, or if you're looking for someone who specializes in that mid-project, we'll come in and we'll get it done for you, or whatever it may be. But those are two avenues that can probably lead to that relationship. with the general contractors and just being persistent every time they win a job. Congratulations on winning the job. This is what we do. We'd love to be a part of your project. And just continuously knocking on the door and let them know you're there.
Yeah. Having that plan to go find those leads is key, and figuring out how to devote the time to do it. And Suzanne, I believe you probably have guidance on Chicago specific resources for
I do.
opportunities as well that we'll come into as we go on here.
Yeah, I want to just quickly comment. It sounds like some of the participants here probably are aware of what I'm getting ready to say, but if you're not, then that's okay too. Being a assist agency for the city, we receive notification of so many different projects that are going on, and particularly those that are looking to identify MBEs, more MBEs than anything, because those of you that are on the call from Chicago, you know that Chicago has an MBE participation requirement on most projects. And so as a result, these projects that are being led by private developers or GCs or even other agencies, other governmental agencies, they're looking for MBEs and DBE firms to participate. And as a result, many of them will have outreach events, or many of them will just simply send over the specifications so that bids can be submitted. And this whole business of really being in a place and being in a place where you can identify these various opportunities. That's why we do the construction conference. We're going to talk a lot more about that as we move down the road. But you're right, it's got to be, you've got to be in a place where you're hearing about the various opportunities that are out here, and there just really are a number of them. So Harold, thanks for sharing the Chicago cityscape. And if you are out there and you're not receiving notifications of upcoming opportunities, please just send me an email after this, and I will add you to the list of that receives information that I receive.
Yeah. Let's do a quick, just couple-minute break here. It's 9:26 on my clock. I'm gonna grab a drink of water and hit the restroom real quick if you need to, and come back at 9:30 for the last half hour. That work for everybody? Well,
Yes,
sorry, 9:30 my time. 11:30 your
it's
time.
11:30 our time. We're good.
11:30.
11:25.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Yeah, if it's okay with everybody, can you share that everybody's contact info?
Sure.
Suzanne, one question. Can
I'd
we
like to
add
connect.
into the chat?
Sir?
Can we add some of these informational? I obviously I'm in Texas, so I don't see any of it. I'm a DBE, we talked yesterday, but can some of this stuff go in the chat so we can make sure we get the right link of Chicago Skate and those other things that they mentioned? Can we put those in the chat?
I would rather that people send them to me and I do a consolidated email and send it out. Sometimes information in the chat doesn't get to people. I don't like necessarily, that's an okay way. I'd rather keep it comprehensive. So I will try to compile what you've discussed here, those kinds of resources, along with what I just said in terms of those resources that come to me, and then send you all an email. How's that? And then you'll have everything in your inbox.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm sitting here trying to write, because we talked yesterday. I'm not there, but I'm sitting here trying to write this down.
And also remember, these calls are recorded. So you also will have access to all of these calls at some point once we get them uploaded into our platform. We have an online platform where we upload all of our presentations. So you'll be able to come back and actually refresh yourself. That's the other benefit about being registered. You can always have access to these recordings that will be now and those going forward. Okay. Because we want to make sure that you not only get this information now, but be able to refresh yourself. Some people have for whatever reason, they limit the amount of time that you can access recordings. I've seen that. I've been involved in webinars and they'll say for 2 weeks, you can listen to the recording. We give you unlimited, unfeathered access. Once you get the code from me, then you can listen to the recording at whatever point in time you want to, okay?
Okay, all right, no problem. I was trying to, I was listening and trying to write at the same time. I wanted to make sure what they're saying I can access it and look. Hey, if you're gonna do that, that's perfect. All right.
Sure.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.
I'm back. You guys hear me okay?
We can.
Great. So I think just a lot of conversation kind of has covered what I wanted to really highlight, kind of through that plan, do, check, act, circle right there. Fairly simple concept, and I think most contractors do it on a regular basis in some areas, but they don't consciously do it. And it's kind of I think the most important of a lot of it is actual seeing what happened out of your work, whether that's going to bid a job or installing a window or doing 5 new bathrooms in a commercial remodel. How did you do? Did you meet what you wanted to do? Did you exceed it? Did you have quality issues? Are you having safety issues on a job? Knowing all this stuff these are all questions that a potential GC or potential client is going to ask you, right? They're going to say, "What's your quality control plan?" You say, "Well, we always do our work to the highest quality." It's the same answer they're going to get from every person they talk to. But if you say, "We monitor each job and document our quality issues so we can then focus on fixing them," that now you've got their attention, and you're going to get some follow-up questions like, "Oh, do you have quality control plan and a manager?" And maybe you don't have a dedicated quality control manager, but you as an owner are probably doing some quality control on your projects, right? So monitoring is key, and then taking that information and doing something with it and responding to it. If you have an employee problem and you just let it continue and you don't manage your staffing and you don't act on it, you're going to continue to have that problem. And eventually that problem is going to create a problem on a job, and they're going to say, we don't want this guy back on site. And you knew there was a problem. You didn't do anything about it. You didn't act. You were just digging your own grave right there. If you don't have a conscious, and I don't mean having written out plans and metrics and spending a bunch of time at a computer saying, that I have 2 quality issues over the last year, and what were they? It can be, it's just a matter of having it on your radar, building systems as you have the time and the bandwidth, leveraging programs like this to help get your systems built for that kind of stuff. But you really need to have the cycle of having a plan, trying it out, seeing how it went, and responding to it.
And excuse me,
Go ahead.
I have my hand up. I just, I don't like cutting in on people. Well, I want to say, when you say quality control, that is so important. And that's what I meant by the regulatory compliance area focus when I say when I'm doing business with the contractor, because we have to make sure everybody is on the same wavelength. We as the Robin must know what the project is to do, what our role is, and making sure my team understand on time, on the budget, and doing it efficiently. And that quality control is so important. Yes, it's not just saying making sure I do the job correctly. No, it's all of that. It's making sure the staff is aligned, adhering to what the staff is saying, so that way we don't trip and fall. So if we're having a problem in this area, we as a team must fix that area before it get back to Batman. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So, and Gotham is the city, is the stakeholder, you know, so we got to make sure that we correct what's in our circle first, so that way it can still follow with no hiccups, you know. Or if we have to replace somebody, make sure we already making sure our team is strong enough to hold it without that person anyway. So if he fumble, we can wait at least 30 days to bring on a new team. You know, we have to have that managerial staff, that QC that's overlooking the whole project as the staff.
Yep.
You have to have that.
Yep, for sure. The next area where I was going to kind of dive into, and I think we've probably touched on most of these, but I've highlighted what I have seen both. So I've been a GC, I've been a sub, I've been an owner. I've done it in a broad variety of sectors. As a GC, I always found myself, especially on my first 10 years or so in civil construction and road construction, in public works, it's low bid. So the subs that are getting the work they're just sometimes throwing a cheap number in to try and get in the door and be on the job so they can grow. And I always found myself sitting there late at night with them saying, okay, you signed up for a job that has a bunch of concrete and you have no idea how to do a quality control plan. So I would sit with them to help develop that stuff. So this list is the high points and kind of the keys that they're a bit of a personal opinion, but stuff I've seen over 20 years or so of doing this that really do matter to a GC, and whether it's private or public. But the stuff that both helps you introduce yourself, get that relationship going, as well as continue it for your career and growth. And one of the first one is you got to know what you can do, and you have to know it for yourself, right? So there's all sorts of pre-qualifications you can submit to a contractor to get on their bid list or specific for a project. But before you do that, you got to understand why are you doing it, right? What are your capabilities? Are you spending time? You can be wasting your time if you do a pre-qualification for a $200 million tenant, a new construction, if that's not in your wheelhouse, right? And if you're just trying to get on a list, is your time better spent focused on areas that you are currently expert in and that you know you can be successful, then you can then expand from there. So, and do this periodically. Sit down with if you are partners in a company or have multiple owners, or if you have your key team of folks, and your key team can be the guys leading the field that see the work every day. Do periodic check-ins. Say, hey, Maddie, where are we at today? What can we do in the next year based on what we've done in the past? Where should we change to pursue stuff? So evaluate yourself, your company, your skill set, your crews, your financials. That is so key to proving to that GC that you already know what you can do. So now you just got to convince them of the same thing. Bring value to the project. Value does not mean you are the cheapest. Value means that they get the most bang for the buck by bringing you on board. So that can mean they get access to a product that you're an exclusive installer for, right? That's a top of the line product. It can access to crews that have been doing that work for 40 years and all the other competitors are only 5 years old. Identify where you are going to, whether your price is $1 or $1,000, you're bringing this high value item to them, and identify where you can be cheaper, because sometimes value is being the best, and being the best can mean being the most productive and economical at it. But don't buy work, right? If you go in and buy work just to get it, you are in a vicious cycle of not being able to afford to do the work. You end up not showing up because that job's not making money, but this other job is. it's a dangerous game to go always be the cheapest. If you're pursuing public works that's competitive, hard bid, keep in mind that the person who has to be the cheapest is the GC bidding the job. They are going to go for the lower price on the subcontractors, but they're not necessarily going to go for the cheapest price. They're going to go for the cheapest one they know is reliable, will get the job done, and won't be a problem as time goes on. If they have that, if they already know you, and they know that you're there every day, they know that you have some quality control where it's needed, they know that you have the equipment ready and that it's reliable. You don't necessarily have to be the cheapest. You need to be reasonable in your pricing, but you're not going to grow if you don't be profitable, right? And if you can't increase your profitability over time, either through higher margins or higher volume. Honest and clear about your capabilities and commitments. If you are trying something new, share that with the GC, saying, "Hey, go ahead. Yep, a comment."
I was going to say I have my hand raised because what you said something about knowing what you've done before. I think that is very important when it comes to the lesson learned. So what you can do differently the next time. What you learn from one project will help you into the next project. Or if it's especially if it's a very similar project, so you know what it took to do the project, how long it really took, what was the real outcome of that project, as far as the timing. What was the real budget for that project? Was it too much or too little? And all that lesson learned is very important when you even just doing one project. You say, hey, what I learned from this project was this, that, and the other, and I feel I could have did better if I did this. So that lesson learned, what you were speaking of, is very, very important.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So honesty and clarity about what you can do. That goes both ways of saying, here's what I can do. Here's what I don't know if I can do, but I'm pretty sure I can, and I want to, and I want to prove to you that I can do it. And you run into situations sometimes where you may be on the job and they say, we have nobody to do this work. Can you do it? And your answer can be, I don't know how to do it, but I'll figure it out and work with you and we'll get it done right, but it may be expensive, right? So GCs value knowing where they're at because they're all about managing risk. If they don't know where they're at, they're not managing the risk. If they know it, they can choose to take the risk, right? And if you succeed and they succeed, everybody wins right there. And if you don't succeed, but you are clear that you may not, you are still in a position, you're not looking like you lied, right? You're not looking that you just will say yes to anything because you were very clear up front saying, I don't know if I can do it, but I think I can, and we'll try and figure it out and aim for success. Understanding the project and the contract. This is really, really key, particularly on publicly funded jobs where contracts can be thick and heavy and detailed and have liquidated damages and have claims clauses and stuff. That can be pretty advanced for people who are not comfortable with it. And educating yourself on public contracting requirements, the law, particularly to your area, is really important if you're going to go for public works and in particular. Because just because you submitted a quote that excluded things, if you don't manage the contract, executing that contract to align with those exclusions, it's what's about the contract says. It's not about what your quote says all the time. So you can say, well, I didn't sign up for that. And they can say, here's the contract that says you did because we didn't exclude it there and you signed it, right? That's dangerous territory. So the only way to avoid that is to know. And sometimes you need to invest in a transactional contract lawyer that can help you review these things. Eventually you may get comfortable enough in doing it in-house once you start to learn it. But I've seen small subcontractors get really burned by saying, well, I excluded it. And the big GC and the owner saying, we don't care because your contract says it's not excluded. Communication, I think we've covered on that pretty well, right? But staying ahead of the game on that, be proactive and initiate the communication, right? And bring up the problem ahead of time as opposed to waiting until it's become an issue and somebody saying, well, you knew about that 6 months ago, and you'll say, yeah, but it wasn't my problem then, but now it is your problem because everybody's involved. And B, GCs need to know their subcontractors are going to answer. They want to know that you're not going to go silent, that you're not going to ignore emails or phone calls because they think that you're going to be on somebody else's project and you're busy and you're focused on that, and they're going to feel that you no longer care about them, and that's going to sour the relationship. Demonstrate your expertise and develop it. If GCs are hiring subcontractors for a variety of reasons, one of them is often because they don't know how to do that kind of work. And they have no desire to do that kind of work. They want to manage a larger project, do their, focus on their areas. So prove you're the best. Prove that you are continuing to develop in that market, that you stay on top of new products, new technologies, new building methods. Be that you're at the top of the game. And this goes back to planning, right? Plan your business. Part of the planning is, okay, what are we experts in and what do we want to be experts in? GCs love subs that will expand and have the desire to creep outside of their comfort zone, but doing it consciously, with planning, with preparation, and with the knowledge that, hey guys, this is a little new to us, but don't worry, we're going to figure it out. Here's how we're going to figure it out. We're bringing in this outside resource, hiring a specialist that knows this just for this project to teach us. We're going to the vendor's training for this product, right? Push the limits, do it with an organized plan, know the risks, and be prepared to mitigate those risks. Back to communication, answering questions when they come up. No is okay. It's an okay answer, but tell them, no, I don't know right now, but I'm going to figure it out, or I'm going to get you an answer that is reliable and that I will back up my answer in a day or two. I have to do some research. I have to call a supplier. You get a lot of pressure, particularly when you're in the meeting, when you're the kind of the small company in the meeting. You'll feel that you need to give them a yes right away. Don't cave to the pressure just because you're there. Answer what you are comfortable committing to. Project management. This is what a lot of the meat potatoes for the future sessions are going to be. So I'm not really diving into it, but on a high level, GCs want subs that understand what project management is and understand how to interface in, perhaps, their systems may be big and complex, larger projects. You can get intimidated by them asking for, give me a CPM schedule. We'll talk about scheduling later. We're going to need all your submittals on your insurance and your quality control plan and your health and safety plan. What really matters to GCs is that you have the ability to respond to that. They recognize that you're an owner, maybe also the project manager is also your estimator, right? It might be a one-stop shop for everything. They recognize that. So there's leeway there in what their expectations are, but they also need you to be able to step up and at least speak the language and have the resources available to you, or ask them for help, saying, I can get you this quality control plan but it's from another job. Can I sit down with you and review it so we can adjust it to this one? They're often are willing to help because your success is their success. And being in programs like this one is share that information with the GC, that you use this to gain knowledge and increase your skill set within the project management and business operations world. Provide well-defined contacts. They want to know who to call. They want to know who to call to get the work done. They want to know who to call to get lien paperwork so they can process payment. They want to know who to call when there's a safety issue. So if you if they see that you show up to a pre-construction meeting and you have a list of people, hey, here's my contacts for this project, they're going to love it. And they're going to remember that on the next project, the next time that they're getting bids, they're going to say, and I remember when Tony, he shows up prepared. I know who to call in his company. Even when they have staffing changes, he kept me updated. Those little things, that's what gives them the confidence to give you the next bigger project. It gives them the confidence to help you grow by taking a little bit of risk because they have faith that you have the people there to manage it and the systems to do it. Be professional, kind of a no-brainer, but it's more often, it's amazing how often you'll hear stories. I didn't like that sub because when they needed money, they'd show up in the old beat up pickup, but when they didn't need money, they'd show up to the meeting in their Mercedes. Right? I've seen it. I've been in meetings where that happens. How you present yourself, the consistency to it, and how you expect your employees and your company to present themselves reflects on how GCs will. It doesn't reflect. GCs see how you present yourself is going to reflect on their choices to use you or not.
Can I just
on that?
comment on that? This is Suzanne. Yeah. This is something I have really tried to drill into a lot of the contractors that I work with over the years. As you become successful and you gain more wealth, it's obvious that you want to buy some of those toys that you have aspired to possess. It could be a Bentley, it could be a Maserati, it could be a Mercedes, it could be whatever, because you are the owner. You, for the most part, when you're going into these meetings that Zach is talking about, you are not dealing with the owner of Walsh or Turner or Pepper, these multi-millionaires. You're dealing with superintendents and project managers. So those people may not be at the same level as you are financially. And it does make an impression on them when you show up as if you are Howard Hughes. I'm dating myself, but you get what I'm saying. So just be mindful of that. It is yes, you should be able to drive your Bentley. But if driving your Bentley is going to aggravate someone that is going to ultimately be the feed into a decision as to whether or not you get a next drive that 2015 Toyota, it's okay. Or that truck, it's okay. You just want to blend in. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to be ostentatious. You want to be a part of the team. So I really, because I was with a guy the other day in a Bentley. Come on. Drive your Bentley for yourself, but not on a job.
Right.
That's all I wanted to just add there.
Yeah. It seems it's unfortunate that, I guess, personal opinion here, it's unfortunate we live in a world where that appearance matters, but it does matter both ways. And so if you show up in the Bentley, they get the guy in the office is like, man, that guy's making a lot of money off our work, right? So then they might say, maybe we should be doing that work instead. It's funny, a little thing like that can actually change the perspective of GC. And it also, within your company, and this is how everybody chooses to manage their own company, but there's a perception of, wow, the boss is driving the Bentley right now, but I asked for a 5 cents an hour raise and I don't have it, right? So those employees will talk to other employees on the project when the Bentley rolls up, and they'll say that, and it's a gossip train, and so it's appearances, unfortunately, matter more than they should, but they do. Go ahead, Maddie.
You know something? That doesn't just mean on those construction sites. Do you know you can get fired from a job for what you drive, and it's indirectly fired? Let me just tell you what I'm saying. I was working for T-Mobile as a construction manager, and we were in a group meeting. And everybody was talking about, hey, I drive a Toyota Sienna. The other person said, I just got me a Ford pickup. And the boss said, yeah, I just got my, whatever car he got. I think it was like a Ford something. And everybody was just talking. They said, Maddie, what car you drive? No. Like that, right? I was like, I drive a nice car. And it was okay. So then I carried on. And then I went into a private meet with my manager. And he said, well, we want to know what kind of car you drive. I said, oh shoot. So I was like, well, I drive a Cadillac XT6 to 2021, right? And I was in 2022. And he was like, you drive a what? And I'm like, but I had the car before you hired me. You know what I mean? Like I had that before he hired me. And Lord behold, like a month later, I was out without that job.
Wow.
It was like the way he fired me. A client asked me for a brochure for landlord requirements to become a landlord for T-Mobile to be a tenant. And I asked him, and he said, yeah, we can get that for him. He said, send over send over his sites. I sent over his sites. They fired me right then and there. And I'm like, wait, I'm fired? You told me to send it over. So it goes back to that because he was just waiting on something. And that was his, thing to kind of fire me. And I was like, whoa, it threw me way off. But I remember the tone after I told him what I drove. And from there on, how he was acting in the meetings towards me. They would start saying I was working, trying to make them look like snails because I was working too hard. It was just a lot of comments made after that. So it's not
Thank
just.
you, Maddie. Thank you.
Oh,
Wow.
that. What else do I got? We got 5 minutes left here. Pitfalls. We've talked about most of these already. I call it buying work, right? Being cheap just to stay in business is not a way to stay in business. Happens all the time. And if you start being cheap to stay in business, it's hard to get out of that cycle, right? Because you don't have the money to do it.
I call them low ballers.
Yep.
They just bidding low.
Yeah.
They think that's bidding, but really they're just bidding low, cutting out everyone. And then they want to play the change order game. When they come back, when they get the job, they want to do all these change orders. So really, that's a poor contractor who just don't understand really the principles of bidding.
Yeah. Mo, as a GC in your work, do you run into this? And have you had problems with it?
So I actually, as far as like my own subcontractors, I tend to stay away from the guy who bids the lowest work. I have like a process that I review bids, and I'm with a mixture of like gut instinct. But I try to dive in deep and see what they're missing or if something was purposefully left out. But yeah, I mean, I've dealt with it on as a GC. I've dealt with it as bidding on other projects. And there's also like YouTube videos of people. Like there's if I can find it, I can send it out to everybody. But this guy basically advises people to do that, of bidding on a job as low as possible and then playing the change order game just to get your foot in the door. So I think it's a very, I like to see that from the other side of things, that guy is completely telling people to do the wrong thing.
Yeah, it may work for a while, but word travels. GCs may not, they compete against each other, but especially in privately owned company, those guys hang out in the same circles, right? So word spreads. And this whole list right here is all about those things. If they feel you've been unethical or you've lied, if you never talk or answer the phone, if you go to the owner to try and get paid because there's a problem between you and the GC, if you miss a deadline and you have no real reason, this whole list of stuff, and the list is a lot longer than this. It comes back to being professional and ethical in most of your business practices, all your business practices really, and being able to step up to what you claim you can do.
Yeah, I definitely look to see if like who's the most thorough in their bids, and I would say Tony or Harold might even be able to speak more about it than I would. But I, having dealt with contractors in the past that have done that to me, and I ended up losing money on it. Red flag, and one of the first things I look for now.
Yeah. So just the rumor mill and and the gossip about subs in the world gets around. So the overall pitfall is stay out of the gossip mill, right? Don't be the contractor that gets talked about for issues. Be the one that actually gets raved about for resolving issues or being a bit of a hero when a problem came up, in developing that relationship of being the person that can be called on the hard jobs or to solve the problems as they come up. So we got 1 minute left here. Suzanne, did you want to do anything to wrap up?
So are you done?
Yeah, I don't want to run over. I was just going to dive into. I can stick around for a few more minutes if people want to chat about anything. But as far as covering material, I'm
Okay,
good.
that's great. Well, I think we had a very open exchange of information throughout the 2 hours. So I would suspect that many of the comments people may have had were brought up at that point. I don't have any more comments. I do want to just simply say, I want to remind everybody that the next session is on Wednesday night, Blueprint Reading and Preparing for Bids, Part 1. I want to thank you, Zach, for a great presentation as always, and illuminating a lot of the issues and concerns and giving good guidance and direction on how to navigate the world as a subcontractor, and also what primes really do expect and are looking for. I want to let you know, each of you, that we will be sending out a document for you to basically rate your presentation today. It's very simple, but we want to know what you thought about what you learned today, what you heard today, and I'll get that out to you in the next couple of days prior to our next session, because we don't want the information to start blending in with the next presentation. I appreciate you showing up today. We did have, if you'll recall from when you were initially sent this information, we did receive a number of applications, but when it came to people signing the commitment, many of them did not want to do it. And so my point simply is this: if you have any colleagues or friends that are in construction who you would like to participate in our cohort, please send them the link to the application if you still have it. If you don't have it, you can certainly reach out to me. You now have my email address, and ask me to forward it so that we can get more people in on this wonderful cohort. I think it's going to be extremely beneficial. I already know that it will. So again, thank you. Thank you, Zach.
I do have one last little thing. So
Sure.
and everybody's got the list of seminars and everything. So for stuff that I'm covering, if you have thoughts now of topics or specific questions, if you come prepared with those, it helps have this conversation, right? It's been great speaking with everybody instead of speaking at everybody. So when it's scheduling and submittals and all that kind of stuff, if you have some specific areas, Suzanne, do they have my email? Have you shared my
I have not,
email?
but I can.
Yeah, so you can shoot me or Suzanne an email with stuff. I can't guarantee I'll cover every question, but we want to know what you want to know, so we can really make sure we're bringing the most value to you on this.
Super. All right. Well, everybody have a great afternoon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Zach.
Bye.
All right.
I meant to
take care.
come back on to
everyone.
wave bye-bye
Good
to
to meet everyone.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you.
You're
Bye.
welcome.
You have a great day.
You
Yep.
too.
Suzanne,
Bye-bye.
excuse me, one question before we go. This is about, I was looking through the schedule, and on the 14th of November, are we gonna be required to come up? I need to come, I gotta get this, but am I gonna be required to come up on the 14th to do
Why
that
don't we,
conference?
why don't we talk, Mike?
November 14th on your
Mike,
schedule.
we'll talk,
Okay.
okay?
I'm just looking. I'm just
All right,
playing. All right. See, I'll talk to you later. Have a good
sure
day.
enough. Okay, bye-bye. Take care, everybody.
Bye.